Welcome to Trauma-Informed Yoga. My name is Monique, and I'm looking forward to our practice together. There's 3 foundations for our practice, and the first one is that you can have your eyes open or closed at any time. So it might change depending on the moment or the movement, but I invite you to see what feels best for you in any given moment. The second foundation for our practice is that you don't need to change or control your breath in any way. Your breath is extremely intelligent, and whatever it's doing for a very important reason. So for our time together, I really invite you to notice your breath, maybe notice how it changes in the circumstances, but please don't feel like you need to change it or fix it or that anything's wrong with it. The third foundational piece for our practice is that you can move in any way that you wish. So the nature of yoga, one of the elements is movement, asana, and I'll be inviting us into some different shapes, some different noticings, but ultimately I'm here to support your listening, and that can look different for each one of us. So you might choose to take one shape the whole class. That would be totally fine. You might try on something and then notice that something else feels better. So you might add on and you might take away. And either way, I support your knowing. So take a moment to see if there's anything that would make you a little more comfortable. It might be simply adjusting your seat. It might be getting something that you need. And then once you're ready, we can take our hands and place them underneath our armpits. Notice the texture underneath your fingers. Maybe it's smooth, maybe it's bumpy. And we can invite our chins down to our chest. Notice if your eyes want to be open here or closed. Depending on how you're sitting, you might want to cross your ankles, or that might not be available to you. And we can hang out here together for just a few moments. And then unwrapping the hands, letting the arms come down. And what do you notice now? The next thing that we can try on together is to let our head slowly move in one direction. You can choose which side. But the neck moves slowly, the head moves. And we're interested in, is there anything that's pleasing or that catches your eye on this side? It could be a color or a texture. Maybe an object. Slowly let your head start to come back through center. And we'll try it to the other side. Nice and slow. And we're curious together, is there anything that your eyes like on this side? We're intentionally focusing the looking through the eyes, not through the mind. Literally, what do the eyes see in this moment? And slowly come back through center. And what do you notice now? So now we can take our hands and bring the palms palm to palm. We're going to create a little pushing action. So you can decide how hard you push, and you can decide how long you push. I'll invite us to try it on for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. So as you're ready, create that pushing through the hands. And then let the hands and arms come down. And together we just notice. We can try it again, bringing the hands up once again, palm to palm. This time, maybe we push a little bit harder or stronger, and maybe just a second or 2 longer. So when you're ready, create that push. And we're curious here, where is the power coming from? Is it coming from the hands, or your arms, or your back, or somewhere else? Where does it originate? And slowly let the hands and the arms come down. And notice what else follows that lowering. What do you notice now? So the last time we can bring our hands together. Maybe we push a bit stronger and a bit longer. When you're ready, create that pressure between the hands. And this time we can check in with our faces and notice if there's anything in the face that would correlate to the effort through the hands. So maybe there's an expression or a sound. Nobody can see you. Just check in with the face as they relate to the hands right now. And slowly let that go. Hands come down, arms come down. Keep track of your face. Just notice what changes in the face as the effort through the hands changes. And what do you notice now? Taking a moment to look around the space that you're in and investigate for yourself, is it actually okay for us to practice together right now, to proceed in our practice? And what that means is we can use our sense of smell. Does your nose smell anything that smells concerning or alarming that you need to take care of right now? Do your ears hear anything concerning or alarming? Do your eyes see anything within arm's reach that is threatening or dangerous to you in this moment outside of your body? If to those 3 senses it appears that it's okay enough to be here practicing, then we can continue on. Noticing how that outer information, that outer investigation, how it meets your inner experience. They don't necessarily need to change either one, but we can notice how they begin to communicate or build a bridge upon which they might communicate, they might meet. So now I'm going to go back to the yoga mat, and I'm going to bring my block with me. And we're going to come down to the yoga mat and come into a shape that's often called tabletop. And so for this shape, we usually bring the wrists under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. I want to invite you to notice if there's something else that would actually feel better here. So there might be a way that you would widen or narrow your arm bones or your leg bones so that your torso, your spine, feels a little more supported or comfortable. Just play with that. And when you have something that feels the best for you in this moment, check in with your fingers and widen the fingers, the space between the fingers, so that the palm has a little more contact with the ground. And starting to notice the texture underneath your thumbs. Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? Maybe both. And become aware of your right pinky toe. You might not be able to see it. Just get a sense of where it is in space. From here, we're going to press through the palms and tuck the toes, and pressing so much that maybe the knees start to hover off the ground, and then tap them down. We can try that again. Press through the palms, press through the toes so strongly that maybe the knees lift and hover for a second. It doesn't matter if they lift or not, we're using the same effort and focus, and then tap them down. One more time, press strongly through the palms, through the toes, maybe the knees lift, and then tap the knees down. You can untuck your toes, press your hips back, and maybe rest your head onto a block or a pillow or your hands. What do you notice now? We can become aware together of how the ground underneath us rises up to meet our experience, our bodily experience, without us having to change anything or do anything differently or be any different. We exist here now, and we are met by the support of the ground. If you like, you can offer up an intention or gratitude or prayer to the ground or to your God or to something bigger than you. And slowly lifting up to a seat. Just looking around your space. Is there anything different in your perception outside of your body, your perception of your outer experience, or your perception of your inner experience? Just noticing. And then bringing the hands up, and we're going to make some wrist circles with both wrists in one direction. And then reversing the direction. Now coming back into that tabletop, noticing there might be a slightly different shape that feels best now. Widening the fingers. And then from here we can move through a few rounds of cat and cow. So the tailbone draws towards the ceiling, maybe the spine lengthens forward. Inviting the tailbone down towards the knees, the spine can start to round any amount. Maybe the chin starts to tuck in. And a few passes like that in your own time, at your own pace. Noticing at the end of each shape how your head and your neck want to be in this movement, connecting to this movement, if at all. And the next time the spine rounds, press the palms into the ground and forward. And the next time the spine lengthens, press the palms in the ground and track them back towards the knees. And then finding a neutral spine here. And becoming aware of your right ribs, starting to press your right ribs laterally to the right as far as they can go. The shoulders and the hips stay somewhat centered, just the side body presses. And then coming back through center. And the left ribs start to press to the left as far as they can go. And back through center. You can try it one more time on each side. Right ribs to the right, shoulders and hips stay as neutral as possible. And come through center, and left ribs press to the left. And come through center. And then start to find a seat in any way that's comfortable for you. Take a moment to check in. Is there anything different in your experience? We can bring our arms up across our chest. From here, inviting your chin down to your chest. Notice if your eyes want to be open or closed. And now starting to let the arms open any amount you decide. How much do they want to open? The chin can start to lift. And then we'll close the arms again, this time opposite arm on top. When the fingers tap the shoulders, inviting the chin down perhaps. And starting to lift the chin and inviting the arms open any amount. Let's do 2 more like that. Opposite arm on top as the arms close. Chin comes down. Moving at your own pace. Beginning to notice which one feels easier. And I invite you to linger there for a few extra moments in the one that feels easier. It might be in between the 2 shapes. It might be something totally different. And then letting the arms come down. And what do you notice now? So from here, we can come up to standing. When you come up to stand, I invite you to find a comfortable stance. So for some of us, that might be a wider stance. For some of us, that might be more narrow. Just find something that feels supportive. You can feel the ground under your feet. Quite literally, maybe notice the texture under your toes, the temperature under the toes. And from here, we're going to keep the lower body facing forward, but we're going to invite the right ribs to start to turn a little bit to the right. The right shoulder can turn, the head can turn also to the right, and as the gaze follows, notice what catches your eye here. Your eye, not your mind, your eyes. And then unwinding through center. Letting the left ribs turn to the left. Shoulder turns, head turns. And what catches your eye on this side? And slowly coming back through center. And from here, we can once again bring the hands up and make some tiny wrist circles in both directions. And then let the wrists be and play with some ankle circles. So for that, you might lift your heel and turn the ankles, or you might actually lift the foot. Notice which one feels more interesting or easier to you. And now we can try them together, the wrists and the ankles at the same time. And then let that be. Maybe shake out the legs. Now we can move to the elbows, so the elbow joint. Noticing how your elbow joints can move here, how they do move here. And then let the elbows rest. And we'll bring our attention to our knee joints. So letting the knees start to explore how they move in this moment, the knee joint. And then trying them together, the elbows and the knees. I'm always finding some kind of new dance here when I explore this. And then let that be. Moving our awareness to the shoulder joints. So there's many aspects, but we can try some shoulder rolls. Or maybe there's some other ways that you are curious to explore how your shoulder joints move here and now. And then let that rest. And we'll move down to the hips, to the hip joints. So the hip joints are super deep inside the pelvis, but noticing how your hips move. What's easy for them to move. And then trying them on together, the shoulders and the hips. There's no right way. How would they move together? It might be clunky, it might be smooth. Just noticing. And then letting that be. And what do you notice now? from here, letting the arms rest at the sides of the legs. And slowly, we're going to start to let the arms lift out to the sides. So we're using effort here, and we're using muscles, but we can also use our cognitive processes to imagine that they're just floating up. It's almost effortless. When they come up to the sides, you can start to reach the fingers out and let the palms come up. And push a little bit through the palms of the hands, noticing how that is connected to the shoulder joints that we just explored. Letting the fingers come down, palms rest a little bit, and drawing the pinky fingers down towards the ground so the palms face forward. Slowly letting the arms start to come towards center, keeping that imagination with us as if they're floating. When they come through center, about shoulder width apart, pause. Thumbs come towards each other so the palms face down. And the elbows can bend out a little bit to the sides so that the thumbs start to connect. They come to touch. The pointer fingers can start to connect and touch. So we have a downward facing triangle. And slowly we can start to lift the palms so that the triangle starts to rise and rest right about in front of our gaze. And we can invite our gaze to explore the area, the space outside of the hands, outside of the triangle, without straining or efforting too much through the eyes, just letting them take in what they can see outside of the hands. And now inviting the gaze to come between the hands through the triangle. Again, not forcing or straining the eyes, almost as if the content can come to the eyes. They don't have to reach for it. And then softening that and letting the eyes take a seat almost as if it were behind the eyes. Just noticing what comes into your field of vision. We borrow this particular shape from the wisdom tradition of Zen Qigong. Now we can start to let the hands separate and press the palms forward. Fingers face the ceiling or the sky. As the palms press forward, notice how they're connected to your shoulders, your shoulder joints. And we can start to let the arms widen out to the side slowly, like you're opening beautiful curtains or widening the sunset. Let them slowly come all the way out to the sides of the shoulders. And when they're there, gently letting the hands come down and slowly, like the leaves float off the trees, the arms float down to the sides. And what do you notice now? back down to the mat. And this time when we come down, we're going to come onto our forearms and walk the knees back, walk the legs back. So the hips come down, forearms come down. The elbows might be about underneath your shoulders, but you might find a different shape with your arms that feels best. From here, we can press the forearms into the ground and drag the elbows towards the heels. The skin slides, but the arms themselves don't really move. Untuck your toes, lengthen your spine forward. Notice what your head wants to do. And now we'll try the opposite. So forearms press down into the ground and forward. So they slide a little bit forward. We tuck the toes, lift the knees. Maybe the hips can lift here just for a second. And then tap them down. Untuck the toes. Forearms press down and pull back. And the spine lengthens forward. Forearms press down and forward, toes tuck, knees lift. Press, 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 maybe the hips lift. It's fine either way, just create that effort. Tap the hips down, untuck the toes and lengthen your spine. The last one here, forearms press down and forward, toes tuck, knees lift. Maybe the hips lift. And then hips come down, toes untuck. Lengthen your spine. And then letting the elbows come out to the sides, and you can rest your cheek or your forehead down onto your hands or a pillow or the ground. And we can be curious together. What moves into the space where the effort used to be? And whatever your experience is in this moment, you are aware of it. So from here, you can find your way up to a seat. And we'll bring the feet out in front of the hips and a little bit farther forward so that there's a space between the hips and the feet, kind of like a triangle. And then bringing the hands onto the shins, maybe bringing the forehead onto the knees, resting down. And then we'll start to unfurl and open and lean back a little bit, like we're starting to lay down. But as we do that, we're going to reach the arms forward, fingers spread, keep reaching forward as you lean back just a little bit, and then come forward and wrap the arms over the legs, rest your forehead down in the knees. And unwrapping the arms, leaning back with your spine, but reaching forward with your hands. This time going back a little bit further, but keep reaching with the hands, and then lift back up. Arms wrap over the legs, forehead rests onto the knees. Last one, as you start to unfurl and open, reach the arms forward, reach as you lower your spine all the way down as slow as possible. There, if you were speaking, there'd be some shaking. And then you can come all the way down to the ground. You can walk your feet in and let the knees rest on each other if you like. And what do you notice now? So you might want to stay in this shape lying on your back. You might want to roll over onto your side and lie on your side or your belly. Or you might want to come to sitting, but either way, find a shape that you can be comfortable in for maybe a minute. I'm going to come a little closer to the screen. Begin to notice the contact points of your body to the ground. Where is it heaviest? And then bringing one hand to your forehead and one hand to your chest over your heart. Together we can acknowledge the space between the hands. Whatever information is there, we don't need to know it, but we can acknowledge its intelligence, its importance. And keeping the bottom hand over the chest, but bringing the top hand down somewhere onto the belly. That's comfortable. Notice the texture underneath your fingers. Is it any different now? And once again, together we can acknowledge the space between the hands. The vast body of intelligence. And then letting the hands come down and rest wherever is comfortable. What do you notice now? If you were lying down, I invite you to come up and find a seat. And as you find your seat, together we can once again let our head slowly turn in one direction. And we can ask our eyes, is there anything they're curious about, even if it's very small? And slowly letting the head come back through center, over to the other side, nice and slow. Is there anything the eyes are taken with on this side? And slowly letting the head come back to center. And noticing for yourself, Is there anything different about your outer perception, how you perceive the space outside of you, your environment, or your inner perception, how you perceive your inner experience? And where do the two of them meet? Where do they come a little closer? The human in me sees and honors the human in you.